It was a crisp autumn morning when Arav first saw Maya. He was running late for class, as usual, rushing through the crowded campus with his bag slung over his shoulder. The fallen leaves crunched beneath his shoes, adding a rhythm to his hurried steps. Just as he reached the library steps, he saw her Maya, sitting on a bench, completely absorbed in her book. The golden sunlight filtering through the trees illuminated her face, giving her an almost ethereal glow. Her long black hair cascaded over her shoulders, and there was something about her serenity that made him stop in his tracks. Arav had seen many girls on campus, but there was something different about Maya. It wasn't just her beauty, though she was undoubtedly beautiful. It was her calm, focused demeanor, the way she seemed to be in a world of her own, unbothered by the chaos around her. For a few moments, he forgot about his class, his rushing, everything. He just stood there, captivated by the sight of her. Without realizing it, Arav found himself walking toward her, his feet seemingly moving on their own. He didn't know what he would say or do. He just knew he had to talk to her. But as he got closer, Maya looked up. Their eyes met, and for a split second, it felt as if the world stood still. There was no smile, no word exchanged, just a quiet, profound moment of connection. Arav quickly snapped back to reality, embarrassed by his boldness. He turned and walked away before he could make a fool of himself. But the image of her, Maya, with her book and her peaceful expression, stayed with him long after that moment. The next time Arav saw Maya, it was purely by chance. A few weeks had passed since that first encounter, and he had convinced himself it was just a fleeting crush, something he'd forget soon enough. But then, on a rainy afternoon, he walked into a small cafe just off campus, drenched from the downpour, only to find her sitting at a corner table, sipping tea and reading another book. His heart skipped a beat. There she was again, as if fate had brought them together once more. This time, he couldn't just walk away. Summoning every bit of courage, Arav ordered a coffee and walked over to her table. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" he asked, pointing to the chair across from her. Maya looked up, her eyes meeting his again, and for a brief moment, there was a flicker of recognition. "No, it's not," she said with a soft smile. Grateful for the chance, Arav sat down, trying to play it cool despite his nerves. "I've seen you around campus," he said, hoping it didn't come off as too forward. "You always seem so lost in your books." Maya's smile widened slightly, and she closed her book gently. "I like reading. It's like an escape." Over the next hour, they talked about everything: books, their studies, music, and life on campus. Arav learned that Maya was a literature major, passionate about stories and the power of words. She learned that Arav was studying engineering, but his real passion was photography, something that surprised her. By the time they finished their drinks, the rain had stopped, and the sky was clearing. They exchanged numbers, both feeling like something important had just begun. In the weeks that followed, Arav and Maya's friendship blossomed. They began meeting for coffee more often, sharing stories and talking about their dreams and ambitions. Arav found himself looking forward to these moments, cherishing every conversation they had. Maya, in her quiet and thoughtful way, became someone he could talk to about anything, someone who seemed to understand him in a way few others did. Maya, too, found herself drawn to Arav's easygoing nature. he was different from anyone she had known. His kindness and sense of humor balanced out her quieter, more introspective personality. They started spending time together outside of their cafe meetings, studying in the library, going for walks around the campus lake, even attending a few art exhibits that Araf insisted she would love. And she did. Their friendship was effortless, but underneath the surface, something deeper was beginning to stir. Araf couldn't deny the feelings that were growing inside him, feelings that went beyond friendship. But he didn't want to rush anything. He treasured their bond too much to jeopardize it with his emotions. It was a chilly winter evening when things began to change. Arav and Maya had just finished watching an old black and white movie at a local theater, one of Maya's favorites. As they stepped out into the cold night air, Maya shivered, and without thinking, Arav took off his scarf and wrapped it around her neck. "Thanks," she said softly, her breath visible in the frosty air. They walked in silence for a while, the snow crunching under their feet. Finally, Arav spoke, his voice hesitant. "Maya, there's something I need to tell you." Maya stopped and turned to face him, her eyes searching his. "What is it?" Arav took a deep breath. "I don't know when it happened, but I realized that I don't just see you as a friend anymore. I care about you, Maya, a lot more than I probably should." For a moment, Maya was silent, her expression unreadable. Arav's heart pounded in his chest, fearing the worst. But then she smiled, that soft, warm smile that had first captivated him. "Arav, I've been feeling the same way." Relief washed over him, followed by a rush of joy. "You too?" Maya nodded. "I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to ruin what we have, but I care about you too, more than I expected." Without thinking, Arav stepped closer, and before either of them could say another word, he gently leaned in and kissed her. It was a soft, tender kiss, full of all the unspoken feelings they had both been holding back. When they pulled away, Maya laughed lightly, her cheeks flushed. "That was unexpected." "Good unexpected?" Arav asked, grinning. "The best kind," she replied. With their feelings out in the open, Arav and Maya's relationship deepened. They still had their usual routine studying together, going for walks, grabbing coffee. But now, there was an added layer of intimacy. Arav loved the way Maya would rest her head on his shoulder while they read, or how she'd playfully tease him about his photography obsession. Maya, in turn, found herself falling more and more for Arav's charm, his humor, and the quiet strength he carried. But, like any relationship, theirs wasn't without challenges. They were both focused on their studies, and with exams approaching, time became a rare commodity. Arav's engineering projects demanded long hours in the lab, while Maya's final papers kept her glued to the library. There were days when they barely saw each other, and the distance was tough. Yet, they made it work. Late-night phone calls, surprise coffee deliveries, and quick study breaks became their lifelines. They understood each other's dreams and ambitions, and neither wanted to hold the other back. It wasn't always easy, but their love grew stronger with every challenge they faced together. As graduation approached, Arav and Maya found themselves at a crossroads. Arav had been offered a job in a different city, while Maya was considering further studies in literature at a university abroad. The reality of their different paths loomed over them, but neither wanted to talk about it, afraid of what it might mean for their relationship. One evening, sitting by the lake where they had shared so many moments, Maya finally brought it up. Araf, what are we going to do after graduation? Araf sighed, staring out at the water. I've been thinking about it a lot. I don't want to lose you, Maya. Maya reached for his hand. I don't want to lose you either, but we both have dreams, and I don't want us to resent each other for holding back. They sat in silence for a while, the weight of their future pressing down on them. But then Araf turned to her, his eyes filled with determination. We'll make it work, Maya. We've come this far, and I'm not ready to let go of what we have. We'll figure it out, together. Maya smiled, her heart swelling with love for him. Together, she echoed. As the months passed, Araf and Maya learned to balance their dreams with their love for each other. Araf moved to the new city, while Maya pursued her studies abroad. But they stayed connected through frequent calls, visits, and letters. It wasn't always easy, and there were times when the distance felt overwhelming, but their bond remained strong. Years later, after both had achieved their goals, they found themselves back in the same city, ready to start the next chapter of their lives together. Araf, now a successful photographer,